Howdy, 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 my name is Sasuke, and welcome back to Let's Read the SCP Foundation Wiki. At the end of the last episode, I said I was going to start with Museum of Idiots. But in the description of the episode before that, I said I was going to read that AA link in Dressing Up, which I forgot to do. So I'm going to do that first, and then get back to Museum of Idiots. Because I'm hoping that this entry right here tells us why they just call him AA now. So, personal log of Agent AA, which is Adrian Adams, Mobile Task Force Omega 7, Pandora's Box. The implication seems to be that Adrian and Beatrice merged into one being, turned into a woman, and became Andrea. Okay, so date, October 10th blank. I should have taken the blue pill. When Dr. Blank told me that he had an opening for a doctoral research assistant with a high-level government agency, I thought he meant the CIA or NSA or something. I never expected, well, this. This job is a nightmare. I haven't seen my family in months. I sleep down the hall from a field agent who has a giant gear sticking out of his neck after a bad run-in with some nano agent. 30 minutes ago, a guy ran in and told me to grab a mop. Someone decided to feed the 7-legged dog a bit of cheese and the stink is horrific. Sometimes I wonder whether I'm dead and in hell. No. Hell would be too sane compared to this madness. At least I don't have to deal directly with any of the SCPs. My job is monitoring staff on site for signs of fatigue and PTSD, and I'm telling you, that's a full-time job. When your 9 to 5 is trying to keep things that should not be from getting out and killing everyone with some mind-bending bizarro power, you tend to get a bit edgy. I had a patient the other day try to put a knife through the back of his own hand. He'd been working around something that apparently gets in your bloodstream and eats you from the inside. He's been getting less than 4 hours of sleep a night and apparently got so messed up he got hallucinations. Started to think he'd been infected even though he checked out clean. Had to knock him out and keep him strapped down to a bed overnight while he finally got some rest. Then he jumped back in and went back to a job like nothing happened. Insane! It's better than what Blank has to do though. He's trying to build a psychological profile of some freak bastard who apparently can't die and can make swords out of thin air. Yeah, just like that. Seriously, what is with this place? It's like some sort of insane story dreamed up by a fevered madman. My god. Gotta try and get some sleep now. Hopefully I'll manage to do so without those freaky rolling eye things running in and staring at me all night. What? Date, October 11th. So I walk in this morning and Dr. Franks tells me that Blank is dead and now I'm in charge of his project. Joy! Spend the day going over the file on this SCP-76. My god, it's worse than I thought. This guy is not only a complete psychopath, he's got all the powers of some freakish adolescent fantasy. How the hell am I supposed to analyze someone who doesn't like to be analyzed and can kill an elephant with his bare hands? This is going to take a little finessing. I got an idea though. I met Josie the half-cat today. I petted her and she rubbed up against my leg. Weirdest feeling having a cat rub hindquarters that aren't there against your shin. October 12th something. My idea worked too well. I thought I'd gain some rapport with 76 by chatting with him over a game or something. Something to break the ice. As a warrior type, I thought he might enjoy a board game, something that needs strategy. I chose Stratego since I've never been a fan of chess and I've never really enjoyed Go or checkers. He seemed amiable enough, although he kept staring at me hard the whole time while I was explaining the rules. Tried to break the ice and get him to talk more about himself between turns. Didn't work. He was totally engrossed in the game trying to break apart my strategy. After a while, he got me doing it too. I'd intended to let him win, but about 9 turns in, I realized that he was using a really simple tactic. He'd taken his martial and was using it to beat down everything by itself, carving a giant swath of destruction in my ranks. I managed to lure him into attacking my bomb, blew up his martial. He then sent his miners in to take out my flag, but it wasn't there. I'd used the bombs as a lure to draw him away from my left where my scouts and miners were. His flag wasn't too hard to find, and then my scout ran in and captured it for the win, behind a screen of miners who disabled his bombs. He got really quiet and I thought he was going to get mad, but then he smiled. Congratulations, he said, shaking my hand. My fingers still hurt even 2 hours later. You're in. In what? Task Force Omega 7. You defeated me in a battle of wits and honor, and now you are my chosen elite. That wasn't what I'd planned at all. I hadn't intended to join your group. I'm a scholar, not a warrior. Now you're both. He clapped my shoulder so hard it bruised and walked away. I tried to get out of it with the section chief. He refused to allow it. "You've got a perfect chance to do a psych profile on 76, he said. "You'll be around him all day and night. A perfect chance for a long-term observation." So, yeah. Tomorrow I'm checking in for basic training with a bunch of freaks and maniacs who hang around with a completely indestructible killing machine and go straight into the most dangerous situations the Foundation encounters with the intent of kicking its ass. Me, a desk jockey geek with a master's in psychology. I guess I could transfer out, but given 76's history of behavior around people he considers weak, that might be career suicide. Or even actual suicide. I'm so gonna die. October 27th, blank. I'm not dead yet. My first day of training, however, I wish I was. I should have known something was wrong when I showed up and saw about blank guys and a few girls standing around wearing tiny shorts and tank tops. None of them seemed to have an ounce of fat on their bodies, and a couple looked like they could beat the fuck out of Arnold the Governator, and a no-holds-barred brawl. And that's when I show up with my slight beer belly and wireframe glasses and my milquetoast smile, and everyone turns and looks at me like I'm something rather nasty the dog just did on the carpet. 76 started them off with a 5-mile run, ran along next to the group. I should say jogged along, hitting the slowest guy with a rattan stick the whole time to encourage him to run faster. I've still got the welts. By the time it was over, I was nearly passed out on my feet, and then 76 started having us do push-ups and pull-ups and other exercises that I'm convinced were originally developed by the Spanish Inquisition to deal with particularly stubborn heretics. So I went to bed hurting in places I didn't know I hurt, but if I thought that was pain, I was in for a treat. The next day, 76 started me with some Israeli martial art called Krav Maga, which I'm convinced is Hebrew for kill the fucking goyim, no matter what Wikipedia tells me. The highlight of that day's training was running the fuck away from blank, after blank decided to pick up a fucking rock and chase me with it. I think I actually pissed myself. The next day was actually worse. This is the first time I've had to write in my diary for a long time. I've just been too exhausted to do more than pass out every chance I get. But 76 told me to take the weekend off. I slept the first 30 hours of it, and God was it worth it. He tells me that tomorrow is my final exam. I don't know what it's going to be like. I'm not looking forward to it at all. October 28th something. I wash and wash, but I can't seem to get it out. 76 met me alone outside the testing chamber. I was a bit surprised to find any of the members of Omega 7 weren't there. "The last test you take alone," 76 said. He walked me into the room and there was a guy tied to a chair. Class D personnel from the looks of his jumpsuit. The entire room was very clean. Tiled floor, tiled walls, sprinklers in the ceiling, a big drain in the center. There was a tray of surgical instruments next to him. "Pick up one of the blades, anyone," 76 told me, "and start cutting." I started cutting the ropes. 76 hit me in the face. "No, start cutting." I dropped the scalpel. I can't. He reached into his shadows and pulled out. It was long and it had a lot of hooks and saw edges and ripping blades to it, whatever it was. "You will, or I will tire of this entertainment and find some elsewhere. Probably by killing as many of your people as possible, saving you for last so that you will see them all die." I didn't answer. He looked at me for a long time, then he went to the door. I think I screamed when I grabbed the knife and stabbed it into the guy. I'm pretty sure I did because I tasted pennies, which means I'm pretty sure that some of the poor bastard's blood got in my mouth. 76 smiled at that and turned around. "Good," he said. "Now use the hook to pull out his eyes." I don't think I can say anymore, but he screamed the whole time, and by the time it was done, I was gone. Stupid of me, I should have seen it coming. Break down my defenses, make me pliable to commands. Classic example of mental reprogramming. I learned this in freshman year at blank for crying out loud, but I fell for it. He didn't seem pleased. He told me I needed to get used to killing. He told me to go down to the labs every day, choose a cat or a monkey or a dog, no rats or mice, and kill one every day. Vivisect it alive. Really let myself feel the blood spurt. So I needed to put aside my weaknesses, learn to become harder, stronger. A monster, that's what he wants me to become. A sociopath, just like him. No empathy, no guilt, no feelings other than fear and anger. A monster. I won't let him beat me. October 31st. Happy Halloween! I was in the lab doing a live dissection of a rhesus monkey when blank knocked on the door. "Meet up in the deployment bay in 15. We got a mission," she said. So I guess B might be Beatrice. I gave the screaming monkey a lethal injection of adrenaline into its heart. It wasn't hard, given the fact I'd already cracked the ribcage and laid the organ open. Beatrice seemed a bit sympathetic as she waited for me to wash the blood off my apron. We've got an active SCP somewhere in the blank area. Seems dormant, but Command believes it could go active at any moment. Keter class. What's our cover story, I asked. We don't need one, she said, tossing me a towel. It's Halloween. The others were suited up by the time I reached the staging area, and we really did look like freaks. The Hostile Environment Protection Isolation Suit, HEPIS, are designed to give you complete protection from all threats, biological, chemical, and to also do a decent job against telepathic and mundane threats as well. In addition to the standard Kevlar weave and biohazard suits, they contain a telekill alloy-lined helmet and data expunged. End result is it makes you look like a super soldier out of some video game, all bulked up and scary looking with a giant gun that blank blank wouldn't mind using against some blank. 76 just wore his usual outfit, of course, which was scary enough. That was the first time I met Iris, too. She was the only other one who wasn't wearing a uniform, was in fact just like a video game character, whom I later found out was blank from blank 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 blank. She had this big camera around her neck and she was wearing a very sensible leather jacket and pants. When I saw her, she was arranging some Polaroid pictures in various pockets around her vest and pants. In case I need them, she said. I wonder what video game character that is. Oh, it's probably Joe from Resident Evil something something. But we piled into 2 vans and drove down to blank blank. Fun times! A lot of young people standing around wearing fancy costumes and generally having a great time at a giant 3-block outdoor party. We got a lot of attention, even posed for a few pictures. Reviewers note, upon covert insertion and review of photographs, it has been determined that no essential data was leaked. Termination order for civilian bystanders cancelled. We moved fast though, our guy on site was waiting for us, and 76 looked like he was about to snap and kill some poor drunk valley girl dressed up like blank blank, who wouldn't stop trying to hit on the tall, brooding, strong goth guy with the realistic looking prop sword. The target was in the sewers underneath the party. SCP operators had managed to trap it in a section of the tunnels, but eventually it was going to make a break for it. We met up with our guy on site, who was guarding the only exit door. 2 operatives set up claymore mines while Iris snapped a picture of the trigger mechanisms. If it tries to open the door without me reaching through the photo and flipping the switches, it'll blow itself up, she said, sliding the photo into a waterproof bag and slipping it safely into her breast pocket. 76 led one team, the other 2 were led by W and K. Iris and I were with 76 in the Special Elements Squad. I stuck close to 76 before Iris waved me back. Don't get too close, she said, making a gesture like swinging his sword. Sometimes he swings without checking his blood circle first. I took a couple of steps back after that. 76 seemed to change the moment we went into the danger area. He leaned forward like a panther, sniffing the air and smiling as he ran a finger along the slick, moldy brick wall. I wasn't so happy. I was in a big, bulky suit that cut down my vision to the sides and back, hearing the sound of my own breathing and the pounding of my own heart. The flashlight didn't light up the darkness enough, and my night vision didn't help either, just made things even spookier with its grainy, green appearance. So, when it grabbed me by the neck and dragged me down into the sewage, all I could really do was scream a lot. My helmet was sealed, and I had my own O2 supply that kicked in the moment I got dragged under, so I wasn't in danger of drowning. Choking? Yes! The thing's tentacles were grabbing me around the neck and squeezing the life out of me. I had barely enough time to pull the trigger of my gun, feel nothing go off, and realize I'd forgotten to take it off safety before I blacked out. I came to in the van, surrounded by a bunch of guys who were looking really tired and beat up. There was something huge covered in a tarp and strapped down by bungee cords in the middle of the vehicle, something that looked like a cross between a squid, a bicycle, and an MC Escher painting. 76 was nowhere to be found. What happened? I managed to croak out. You got grabbed, W said. Abel killed it. He's still down there supervising the burning of the eggs and looking for more of them. I guess I screwed up, huh? Nah, you did fine. He put a cigarette between my lips and lit it with his Zippo. You lived! That's all we can really ask for out of a first-timer. Cleaning my suit afterwards was a pain. They look kinda like spacesuits, but they don't put elimination tubes in them, and my bowels did what bowels do when you get the shit scared out of you. Note to self, consider wearing depends the next time I go into the field. 76 didn't say a word to me afterwards, no one did. But everyone's thinking it. What the hell am I doing in this group? I'm not a soldier, I can't shoot, I can't fight, all I can do is write stupid papers trying to psychoanalyze that which can't be analyzed by mere psychology. So what the hell am I doing here? November 19th. Killed 3 cats today in the lab. The process seems to be getting easier, which kinda scares me. The screaming and mewling doesn't bother me as much as it used to. Maybe I should try burning them alive next time. Try to make myself feel something. Revulsion, fear, anger, self-loathing? Anything's better than just emptiness. We did a mission in a quiet little town today, mining town outside blank. By the time we got there, though, about half the town was infected. They all had these things growing out of their eye sockets that made them look like they were weeping blood. We tried shooting them, but they just regenerated the damaged parts. We tried using fire, but it just seemed to make the stuff grow faster. It made the infected people explode with the force of a hand grenade, scattering spores all over the place. That's how we lost Blank. Tried a few other things, stayed expunged. We eventually switched tactics, and after L rolled a VX grenade into an infected house, she confused it for an incendiary as it turned out, but it worked. The nerve gas seemed to react to the infection somehow, kill it cleanly, but it also killed the host as well, made them violently reject the infected body parts. Eyes, heart, lungs, liver. It will order to resupply and a regroup. We traded our incendiaries for nerve gas bombs, kinda like roach foggers. The procedure was to cover the buildings with plastic isolation sheets to seal them up, toss in a half-dozen bombs, wait about an hour for the stuff to really permeate, then move in and mop up the leftovers as needed. At least half the casualties were clearly uninfected, civilians who'd holed up in their rooms and apartments waiting to be rescued. The elementary school was the worst. There was this one teacher who'd barricaded the doors against the infected, had kept her kindergarten class blissfully ignorant and safe, playing games and listening to music while the monsters roamed around outside. I saw her through the second-story window as I started setting up the covers. She met my eyes, and the look on her face told me she knew what was going to happen next. I saw her tell the class something. I couldn't tell what. Then she walked away from the window. I was the first one through that door. There were a dozen 5-year-olds lying on their little beds, blissfully sleeping. The nerve gas had killed them cleanly and instantly while they napped. The teacher was seated at her desk, sitting upright with her head bowed as if she were taking a rest. She had a mug in her hand, something like World's Greatest Teacher, had a crayon drawing of a little girl hugging an older lady in a blue dress. There were tears in her eyes, could have been condensation from the nerve gas. There was an infected on the roof. The gas must not have permeated high enough to completely kill him. He was hacking up his lungs and twitching a bit, but he wasn't dead, could still walk, and he lunged towards me as I moved towards him. I think he might have been a janitor. He was wearing a blue jumpsuit, and his left wrist had a compound fracture with the bone sticking out. I shot him in the head. Then I kicked the hell out of him with my steel-toed boot. His eye fell out after the fifth kick, so I stomped on it. Popped like a grape. We were all really quiet coming back, except Abel. 76 was his usual cheerful self, sarcasm. The rest of us, well, were just soldiers, not monsters. Wiping out the town had to be done, and an airstrike would have had too much risk of letting the gas fly downwind, hit Blank, and kill another 10,000 poor souls. Explosives could have set off a giant chain reaction, spread spores all across half the continent. We did what needed to be done, but we're not required to feel good about it. Beatrice came into the lab a few minutes ago just as I started cremating the remains. She looked tired, asked me if I couldn't sleep either. I realized it was almost 2 a.m. She offered to stay up with me in my room. As soon as I washed the blood off my hands, I might take her up on that. November 24th something. Happy Thanksgiving! Back when I lived in the real world, the most annoying thing about Turkey Day was hearing my dad demand that we all at least say one thing we were thankful for this year. Well, I've got a few things to be thankful for. I'm thankful that I'm not dead. I'm thankful that the world didn't end. I'm thankful that Abel didn't decide to kill us all and use our skins to make drum heads. I'm thankful that no one decided to expose the slime from hell to any dead bodies. And mostly, I'm thankful for Beatrice, the most wonderful girl in the world who can not only date and expunge, but can also cook a damn fine turkey. Bit of a small Thanksgiving, though. Abel and Squad 1 had to deploy at the last minute and were out in the field chasing some giant rust monster that apparently was rampaging around this sugar factory. So it was mostly just me, Beatrice, Iris, and whoever else wanted to drop by for a real Thanksgiving dinner, instead of the mass-produced stuff the cafeteria prepared. I went around the facility asking if anyone else wanted to drop by and get some turkey. Gathered up a few folks along the way, then headed over to Dr. Frank's office to see if my old boss wanted some food too. He was chatting with a rather nice-looking guy, possibly Indian or Arabic. He was going over the newest field reports from our mobile task forces. The guy was just listening and nodding the whole time, stroking the tattoo on his forehead. I asked him if he wanted to come too. That's fine, he said, smiling. We'll be busy for a while. If you would like, however, please bring me a turkey leg later. That's a good idea, Dr. Frank said, and save me a plate. I'll drop by to pick it up once we're finished. Figured the guy was busy, so after dinner I made 2 plates with all the fixings, headed over to Dr. Frank's office. As I got closer, though, I started noticing something funny. The cornbread stuffing was starting to smell bad. By the time I got outside the door, it had rotted through so badly that the mold was starting to spread to the meat as well. I dropped the plates and yelled in surprise and almost hit the containment breach alarm before the door opened and a stranger walked out. Oh hell, he sighed, not again. And that's how I first met Kane. Decent guy, even if he wasn't much of a gardener. Turns out he's just in town for the day to help Dr. Franks back up some files. It's best if I'm not around here when Abel comes back, he said, before he headed back into the helicopter a few hours later. Then he gave me a funny look. When the time comes, he said, don't hesitate. Do what you must. I'll be fine. I'm really not sure what that's supposed to mean. Note to self, whatever blank brand cranberry sauce is, it's apparently not made of cranberries. The stuff didn't break down one bit around Kane. Remind me to choose a different brand next year. November 19th, blank blank. No, the date is not a typo. Yes, it is 4 days before my last entry. Damn temporal SCPs. I'm spending the next 4 days in confinement with the rest of my team to make sure that we don't accidentally pollute the timeline. I'm arguing with the security staff that it would be okay to let us out because, you know, time being an infinite loop and all, and if I was going to meet my past self, I would have done it anyway, and the fact that I didn't means I'm not gonna. They tell me that the fact I don't remember ever meeting my future self means that I'm going to stay in confinement, so there's no point in arguing about it. Is it too much to ask just for me to get a moment to walk out in the sunshine? The damn padded walls are starting to move in on me. I don't like this one bit. The mission was a success, relatively speaking, I guess. We went into the facility with isolation suits on to retrieve the artifact, joint mission with MTF blank blank, blank blank blank. They took the lead given that they've had more experience underground than we have. We were just there to lay down the pressure once they met up with the artifact. We lost Squad 3 2 minutes later. The members of that squad just suddenly up and died of old age within 3 minutes of coming into contact with the artifact's holder. Squad 2 managed to get out a distress signal before dying. Abel closed in on the target shortly afterwards. Weirdest thing watching other people growing old and dying around him while he just kept aging away. Hair growing longer, fingernails growing longer, but his body was just not aging at all. Data expunged, had him pinned down under an I-beam, but couldn't reach the artifact because his arm was cut off, and needed the other one to pin down the monster. I was the closest. Popped open my emergency dose of 006 and downed it in one go before running in. My hand instantly withered the moment I touched the item. I screamed a bit as the isolation suit rotted around me, but managed to yank it away from Abel and the morphophage and toss it into the box. Beatrice slammed the lid shut and locked the locks, and the entire thing data expunged. So yeah, that's how we wound up here 4 days before we left. I managed to convince him to let me keep my journal since it's not really going to have too many temporal effects once I leave. Also convinced him to issue my past self an emergency ration of 006 before he goes. I'm sure he'll be confused about why he needs it. I sure was. Iris seems... I don't know. She's not doing well recently. I'm thinking the stress of the job might be getting to her. Being one of the youngest members of the team can't be easy. Date blank blank blank. Beatrice came into the room today and told me that she's been given TDY away from Omega 7. Something bad happened to blank. I've been asked to talk to her. Blank. That would be SCP blank, data expunged. Anyway, Beatrice was a blank before she transferred to Omega 7, so I guess they figured she was a good person to talk to blank blank. She didn't think so. Oh. I've never been raped before, Adrian, she pointed out. How am I supposed to talk to someone who has? Just listen. Don't let her blame herself. Let her know no one blames her, and don't let her depersonalize. She might be suffering from some post-traumatic stress. I can find a pamphlet for you on that. How the hell do you know all this stuff? I was a psych before I was a soldier, remember? This used to be my job. Oh yeah, she said, smiling. I forget that sometimes. I do too. Date blank blank blank. Retrieval mission. Dr. Dantensen let Iris out for some reason. They've got the good doctor in solitary. How can he be so stupid? Retrieval mission was a success. I'm listing it as recovered under pain of death from SCP-103. That'll sound good on the report. We caught up to Iris at the blank airport waiting for our flight home. She burst into tears the moment she saw Beatrice and I approaching. Can't you guys just leave me alone? Data expunged, put the gun to my head and handed her the Polaroid of the internal workings. You can stop me from killing myself, I said. All you have to do is reach into the photo and pull out the firing pin. You wouldn't dare, she whispered. I managed to bring a loaded handgun through airport security. I can and will. And if you can still do what you can do, you won't let me die because you're too good of a person to let that happen. I pulled the trigger and there was a click. She was standing there with the Polaroid in one hand and the firing pin in the other. Then she fell down and started crying. I let Beatrice take care of the rest. My job was date. They're all dead. Blank, 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 blank. All of them. They're dead. Hang on, getting a call from command. Transcript of communication between Field Command Mobile Task Force Omega 7 and Foundation Transport Learjet 223. Agent AA. Field Command here, let me patch you into Abel. My god. I still have a jaw to chew you out with. What's the status on the infestation? The colony is in flight over blank. It's going after... Oh god, if it gets a hold of that much silicon, then... I'm handing over command to you. What? You're in charge. I've already let Squire know. You'll data expunged. I don't understand. There have to be better agents, better warriors, but warriors won't stop this now. I need a general. I knew you were my general when you bested me in a game of war. You must best this enemy now. Mind, not muscle, will win. Think! Wait, I have an idea. It's a marshal, but it doesn't have any other troops. I just need to lead it into a bomb. Let it be known on this date, Agent AA, Mobile Task Force Omega 7, Pandora's Box, while in extreme personal danger to life and limb, did personally engage a Keter-level SCP for the purposes of completing a retrieval operation. Although grievously injured during the attack, which resulted in the death of Agent Beatrice Maddox, Agent Adrian's actions allowed SCP-73 to come into attack range of SCP Blank, which was at the time rampaging through Foundation facilities. Upon engaging the enemy, Blank did blank. Date blank blank blank. Abel came by today. He heard about a Byebye. It was hard going to the funeral, but we've all lost friends. It's hard typing with no hands and no fingers, and I'm still getting used to the mouth wand. Sometimes I miss keys. It's my journal, so I don't really give a shit. I took a shard to my head too. One piece went into my skull. They say that it hit part of my brain. Something, sense of empathy might be gone, whatever that means. I watched the footage of the team dying. It was weird. I thought I'd feel more, but it was like watching cats being dissected, just more guts and blood. I hear they have a machine that makes you better. I think I'll give it a try. Permission for Agent Adrian Anderson to undergo enhancement by SCP-212. Granted. Log ends. For further information, see SCP-784 ARC. Let's see. Okay. This page is marked for deletion. However, because certain pages on the site depend on knowledge of this article, usually tales or supplements, it has been retained. The following articles/stories make reference to this page. Personal log of Agent AA, Olympia Project, Experiment, log 74, blah blah blah. Item, SCP-784. Presumed neutralized. Previous special containment procedures, current procedures. Description. SCP-784 is the remains of Agent Adrian Adams. Officially killed in action by data expunged during recovery operations at Prometheus Labs, Agent Adams actually survived his injuries and was approved to undergo enhancement by SCP-212. Unusually enough, SCP-212 chose not to repair Adrian's extensive injuries, including traumatic amputation of all 4 limbs, or to remove a shard of data expunged that had become lodged in his cerebrum. Instead, 212 integrated the shard of circuitry more completely into Agent Adams' brain and performed a standard organ maintenance. Said shard of circuitry immediately began to repair itself and replace Agent Adams' glial cells, leaving the neurons intact. Upon replacing the entirety of Agent Adams' neuroglia, said circuitry bored several holes through the back of his skull, then removed the entirety of the this and occipital bones and replaced them with reinforced metal plating. Agent Adams was then declared KIA and reclassified as SCP-784. 784 consists of 2 components. The biological portion consists of Agent Adams' neurons, spinal cord, and portions of his cranium and vertebra. The remainder of his body became necrotic over time and was debrided to prevent infection from spreading. The second component is made up of a nanomachine colony and takes the form of a network of steel and silicon tendrils emerging from the back of Agent Adams' skull and spine. The mechanical portion of SCP-784 has shown itself capable of reforming to a variety of different forms, including but not limited to cutting tools, prehensile tendrils, interfaces for electronic devices, and molecular assemblers. SCP-784 is capable of breaking down and incorporating any silicon and metal object into its nanomachine network, and has shown a capacity for integrating electronic devices as well. Non-metal or silicone-based items can be broken down but are not easily integrated. Following the events of blank blank blank, the remaining 0.5 liters of nanomaterial recovered from the late Dr. Valentine are all that remain. The nanomachine colony shows 2 weaknesses. First, individual nanomachines cannot function without a physical connection to the biological portion. Secondly, exposure to heat above 100 degrees Celsius or certain solvents will cause the nanomachines to denature in a manner similar to proteins. A 100% acetone solution has shown to be both effective and easy to obtain in large quantities and has been selected as the containment medium. Despite its nature, 784 is not normally hostile to life, except as a means of nourishing its biological component. The only casualties inflicted by 784 were caused before a means of communication could be established, and the need for a nutrient bath were known. In that incident, 784 attacked and entangled a Class D personnel inspecting its containment cell, and proceeded to liquefy a portion of its flesh, converting it into a nutrient solution which it then administered to its biological component. Okay, so I guess that Andrea and Adrian are not the same person then? Because it sounds like they tried to heal him from his wounds and instead he got turned into something else by whatever SCP-212 is. Oh, and here it is working on him. A large medical device with 3 robotic arms. Subjects wishing to undergo exposure from SCP-212 are to be advised the process is extremely invasive and that no predictions on improvements can be made. Okay then. So, he lost all of his limbs, had a shard of metal in his head that killed his ability to have empathy. They had him go under enhancement, which turned him into an SCP. Then, what is Andrea Adams and why did she react the way she did to hearing about Adrian and Beatrice? She can't be their kid, unless the universe reworked itself in just the right way for them to have a child. But that won't make any sense for why they would erase his name, but leave references to the fact that he's a guy. Have they? Wait, have they made reference to this fact that they're a guy? So this is really weird, the fact that Iris remembers Adrian and Beatrice. Andrea just seems to have appeared. She has the same initials as Adrian, but he's not called Adrian anymore. Now he's just Agent AA. Because after the universe reworked itself, his name was deleted from all files that his name was on. This is really weird. So, okay, I'm almost at the part where Alpha Niner actually starts. Because I'm on Museum of Idiots. That goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So there's 9 more stories before I reach part 2. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to end this episode here and just have another episode be Museum of Idiots and all that jazz. And when I get to part 2, I'm going to put the Resurrection A9's arc on hold and continue reading the SCPs and then come back to this later. Probably after Halloween. Because I want to get as far as possible through this wiki before I play SCP Containment Breach, so that when I get murdered by things I know what it was beforehand. I don't want to do a Markiplier and just scream and run from things I don't understand. I want some foreknowledge first. So, this has been Anachi Sasuke. This was episode 33 of Let's Read the SCP Containment, or SCP Foundation Wiki, and I will see you in the next one. Later.